So, wrapping up, I think, on our discussion of Erika Kirk, Kim Kardashian, Beyonce Knowles being creations of the same beast. And what do I mean by that? If you haven't seen any of the other videos, I have a theory that these women exist and perpetuate in the media and the public eye, namely due to their mothers, which I refer to as the nefarious pageant mom. Yes, I am talking about Erika Kirk, Tina Knowles, and Kris Jenner. So, why do I think this? There's a really specific dynamic between mothers and daughters, especially mothers who, from my lens of the nefarious pageant mom archetype, are interested in power through beauty, means, and access. And at some point, when they don't feel like they can pull the strings with their own sexuality and youth, they use their daughters to do it. This is opinion, obviously. This is opinion piece, an opinion series. So, since Erika Kirk has come on the scene, I just can't unsee it. Like, I can't unsee Erika Kirk is the exact same energetic signature as Tina Knowles and Kris Jenner, right? Like, to put really simply, momagers. In their own right, in their own flavor. So, that's broad strokes, obviously. There's more to say on other videos, but today I wanted to bring up the comparison of Jacqueline Kennedy that's been made, right? So, no secret, Erika Kirk, her grief is questionable, and in dialogue online, Jacqueline Kennedy has been one of the go-to comparisons because her husband was assassinated in a very loud public space. So, there was like a realization that I had of tying Kim and Erika in this regard, and the Kennedys. Do you remember the Met Gala when Kim wore Marilyn's dress? Do you remember, like, the scandal, like the big thing? And she made it seem like she was on some transformation journey to, like, lose weight to get in Marilyn's dress. I looked it up. It was in 2022. 2022 Met, so forth and so on. But here's what was interesting. Is at that same Met, Kris Jenner was there. And she was compared to none other than Jackie Kennedy. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Now, I am going to draw some conclusions from my own opinion and observation. So the whole manifestation space is corrupt, and it's bullshit for more time than I have with you right here, right now. But one of the things that happens is the way of creating your reality gets put outside of you. And it's masked like you're doing it, you're aligned. It's like it's your thoughts and your vision, you're just creating, and you're doing the visualizations and the synchronicities and blah, 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 blah. But one of the things you have to keep in mind is the way you do this is a completely different mechanism, and it does involve God, and it involves the heart. So how you create your heaven on earth meets at the heart. And part of what happens with a lot of magic practices and witches, warlocks, evil women and men is they are not connected to their heart, right? They don't have Christ within. They don't have the relationship with God, however you conceptualize it. And so what they do instead is they have to manipulate reality around them to then create the reality they want. So then it becomes heavy-handed. Then it's like you're grabbing and pulling things within the matrix to get what you want. Then you have to trick people. Then you have to convince people. Then you have to, so forth and so on. And part of the mechanism that they use is archetypes and stories and symbols, right? This is why a lot of the rituals have shapes, geometry, herbs. And once again, there's I'm all for, curating an experience, setting the tone, setting the space, but let's not be confused here. If you don't have a connection with your heart and you're looking into magic, reality, creation, identity, you have to be careful. Because in the extreme forms, what I think of these women, Beyonce, Erika, and Kim, in my opinion, is they are conjuring. And so they are doing elaborate things, systems, rituals, performances, media psyops, fill in the blank, to elicit a certain response, to bring forth a certain spirit, to express that spirit, to be perceived as that spirit, right? Which is all in their mind, power. These women are different, and I've discussed the differences in the other videos, but for this conversation, I think their mothers are aware of it. I don't think you get that high up in the top with your mom pulling strings and you're not aware of this type of mischief. And that I'm putting very lightly because I think it's darker than just mischief. So, in the spells and the rituals, a lot of the times it's externalized, right? And the way that I see it is like if you pull this string or this, and it's like you're putting your will in external objects and external people, external relationships. And what happens, how I see it, is it comes and it like twists, and then you're like, oh, I have the man, oh, I have the attention, oh, I have the money, oh, I have the car, oh, look what I manifested. And a lot of the times there's like a hook. Like what you got somehow created like a lot of problems or a lot of upkeep, or maybe you got the man and that was your man, but he wasn't ready for you. He didn't go through his process. So you willed him in sooner and now there's problems, right? Maybe you forced your hands or forced someone else's hand for like money or opportunity or sugar daddy, right? And the way you do it, because you're putting your energy out, externalizing, and you're orchestrating, you have the, like in these women, have these team of people, they have these elaborate displays, they have the media, they have people bought on what to say, what spells to cast, and it's like this, but at some point, like, you can't escape harmony, you can't escape balance, the laws of the universe. It's going to reach a homeostasis, it's going to untwist, and in that untwisting, like, it's rough. People aren't in a good place. People are like, what the fuck, right? And then you have to do all of this shit to upkeep it. And then the ante just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. More rituals, more attention, more dramatic displays, more money, the whole thing. But all the while, you're actually leaking energy. You're not full within. Like, you're not radiating prosperity or bounty like you do when you're one with God. It's external, right? That's why you gotta be careful of the spell shit here, because a lot of the times you don't realize that you're missing the point. That everything that's available to you is centered in the heart. So, Jacqueline Kennedy compared to Erika. Jacqueline Kennedy inspired Kris Jenner's 2022 Met. Why do you think she's coming up? I thought it was really well said. I heard someone comment that the Kennedys was actually the last, or the epitome of a American royal family, which I thought was interesting because they definitely displayed that and had the impact of that sense with the American public. Now, what's interesting to me about the Kardashian-Jenner clan is they also have in the past done different things. I think they're on Hulu with their show and their presence of being like the matriarch, right? And it's really interesting because I think that they're truly the only example or family at this time that's really centered on all women. Like Rob Kardashian is kind of like non-existent in their brand or their presence. I mean, Bruce Jenner transitioned into a woman, right? It's really interesting how female and feminine focused they are. Now, in my opinion, it's in a very degenerate way. It's in a superficial way. And I think that they do more damage than good. But nonetheless, it's interesting, right? So, if you don't have a relationship with God, if you're not centered in the heart, it's like a hollow life, right? Then you need things to feel good about yourself because you don't have something within you that's bringing life and bounty and joy, right? It's a sense of security. So it gets externalized. I think it's really interesting because the Kardashian Jenners kind of have this, it's not, there's a vacancy, right? There's like a vacancy in how they like talk. Kim feels very vacant to me, like everything, and I know it's just kind of like serious, she's non-reactive, but it legitimately, vacant is the best word I have to describe it. Which makes you a prime candidate if one were to choose to do conjuring. Which is very interesting because in the Marilyn Monroe dress, I mean, there was the conversation of all the attention of like Google searches. If someone Googles Marilyn, then Kim's going to come up, you know. And supposedly Marilyn was the most photographed woman ever to have existed. And then I think like Kim was on some sort of race to outdo her. I came across that information. But the seance is interesting if you look at it that way. Because once again, if you don't have God, you don't create in the stream of life. You have to externalize how you get what you want in this reality. So this is why there are these elaborate rituals. Because they don't have the stream, they don't have the wave, they don't have the bounty of life that's like with God, with spirit, with the universe. They're in this matrix, grabbing, pulling, contorting, taking, to then build something or then to put on an appearance as if it's something. When the truth, the reality is it's hollow. You know? So, with the whole Charlie Kirk and the tent thing, which was really horrific, in my opinion, the same thing was said. Like, it's starting to feel like a seance. Why does it feel like they're like trying to evoke Charlie's spirit? And in such a weird way, like you're not even honoring his life. Like it's all centered around his death. Like this is the tent he died in. Don't you have other things that represent his life, his like mind? You know what I'm saying? Like symbols that are associated with his impact, not the death, not the end. And that's the thing, is these type of people, that's where they get their energy from, because it's not from life. It's not through God. It's not from life or Christ or the light within. So they have to feed, their food source is death. Their food source is trickery. It's deceit. So, I'll wrap up here because I think it's very interesting that the political powerhouse of the Kennedys has been brought up quite a bit. And I wanted to draw that connection to the Met. And Gigi Young does a really excellent video breaking down the Whore of Babylon myth, that archetype. And she's actually, I've seen her analyze this with Taylor Swift and Katy Perry. And Kim Kardashian has also been associated with the Whore of Babylon. So when we're looking at the impact of evil or ill intent or the opposition, so forth and so on, the thing to keep in mind is they use archetypes, stories, and symbols, because that's the way to move people. That's the way to move this reality. That's the way to pull strings on the matrix. And archetypes actually have a benevolent expression. Archetypes and stories and narration have a benevolent quality that we can all harness. But it's worth reflecting on the presentation and the push of certain images and characters, and who is pushing them and why, and what is the spirit within them that's pushing them. Because it's not creativity, it's not play, it's not authenticity, it's not expressing different aspects of yourself in the range, because you love all the aspects of yourself, because you're on an enlightened path, because in the full of your range, and the light and the dark is the one. No, that's not what's moving these people, in my opinion. Things to think about.